Hello, and welcome along to the stream. I hope that everyone is having a good evening. Hello, Maurice. Welcome along. Kim, how are you tonight, sir? So, a couple of stream with no aim. Yes, indeed. That is exactly right. Hello, Code Monkey. Yeah, so I've got no. So what I meant by that tweet, so Maurice is referring to a tweet that I put out there where it basically said, "I've got no real agenda for tonight. I have some rough things that I would like to do, but I'm happy to go and hunt some squirrels down rabbit holes and all sorts of stuff. So if anybody's got any suggestions, feel free. Hello, Nils. Belated congrats on the GitHub Stars news. Thank you very much, Code Monkey. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was a very nice surprise when that came through. So thank you for that. So the same as 2 weeks ago, Kim. Yes, pretty much. The things are so in terms of Cake.Recipe, things are looking a little bit better. Just before I came on the stream tonight, I have fixed the PR that we were working on last week. So we can move forward with that. I've got a little bit of tidy up work to do on Cake.Recipe in terms of making sure all of these open PRs are not really needed anymore. So I need to figure those out. But in general, like I say, I'm happy to be pulled off in different directions tonight because I've got no sound plan. What I'm getting at. I was going to say something before all. Yes, I I've made a change to the stream setup. So I don't. You may or may not notice, but I've got a new camera. Right. I've had this new camera for a while, and it's a Logitech something or other, and I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it to work. Basically, um, the green screen wouldn't work, or it wouldn't work properly. It would only fade out part of the background, and it's like I've had this thing for over a month, and I just couldn't get it to work. And I finally figured it out over the weekend. I sat down, I read some tutorials, I watched some YouTube videos, and I figured it out. So the reason that I bought this camera was that the Razer Kaio, which is the one I did have, it would fade in and out, or it would focus in and out randomly. It wouldn't stay at one focus, and for whatever reason, the Mac drivers for it don't allow setting it, so it would always just autofocus in and out. So the thing with the Logitech one that I've got is, so we can maybe fix that, Maurice. The Logitech one that I've got, you can actually set it to not autofocus, so it should be stay where it is and it shouldn't move. The white balance, I was playing with that, so I mean, I've got full range of changing that, so I can make it lighter, darker, all sorts of stuff. So that's obviously gone really bad, but I mean, I can toggle those things on and off. So is that better? Is that a better kind of? Actually, I don't know what looks good and what doesn't, to be honest. So better. Maybe talk about that another day. But I treated myself at one point during lockdown, so I've now got the Elgato lights above me here. So they've got quite a range of depth of color and all that sort of stuff. Or what's the terms that is used here? I don't even know what the terms are. It's yeah, there's bars that I can move up and down, so I can play with that. Not perfect, but better. Okay, we'll do that another day. Nils was saying, I thought you looked different somewhere. So it's my camera. It's my new camera. Hopefully it's making things better. If not, well, it's too late now. I bought it. I found out last week that when you open an STL file, 3D image ready for printing in GitHub, it shows. Ooh, that's interesting. An example. Let me go to here then. Can I copy this? No, probably not. Let's paste this in here. Ah, you see, that's oh, I can zoom in and everything. Look, oh look, I can spin it round and everything. So what's this you're making, Maurice? Uppercase? Is this another part for your 3D printer? That's pretty clever. Get that. I'm impressed with that. So yeah, for those that don't know, Maurice has got a new 3D printer. I'm saying it's new. He's had it for a couple of weeks now. He's been playing with it, and he's been sending me all these photos, which are great to see. But I'm also like, I want one. I just don't know what I would do with it. But I see what he's doing, and he's got all these pictures, and I'm like, I want one of those. It's a case for a Raspberry Pi 4 with a hyperpixel display. Cool. That's something else I want to play with, is Raspberry Pis. Again, no, I just don't. I don't have time. Anyway, so one of the things I did want to look at tonight was some more investigation time dedicated to Cake.Recipe. So last week we got to a point where we had the PR that the Cake contrib bot opened to update all of the dependencies of Cake.Recipe to use 1.0.0 compatible libraries. We spent a bit of time figuring out why that was broken and it wasn't building correctly. And at the end of last week's stream, we got to a point where we were happy to merge it. And I clicked the enable auto merge button and I left it thinking, oh, it's going to get merged, but it didn't. It failed to build. It failed to build because Git version was running on a Ubuntu image that it doesn't support. So just before the stream, I went in and I pinned the GitHub action workflows to use 18.04 of Git of Ubuntu and rebased the build, and that then worked. So what I want to look at next is I'm fairly sure that some of these open PRs can now get closed. So it's a sanity check time. So if we go in here and we look at the Cake.Recipe content, it'll be a tool. So it'll be in tool settings. If we look in tool settings, and in here, there will be a JetBrains something or other. I won't be able to see it for ReSharper tools. There it is. So it's currently at 23.2, 23. Oh, so that one does need updated. Okay, so that one we can pull in. These are add-ins, so we'll come back to those. Report generator. Report generator is 485. Oh no, so these are valid, or some of them are valid. So report generator is still valid. Okay, so let's look at the add-ins. So the add-ins is this one. Add-ins for say Cake.Figlet 1.4. So that one we don't need that one. So that one we can close out. Cake.AppBear, that's on a different file. That's in here. Cake.AppBear. What was in here? Cake.AppBear. Wasn't there? 5.0.0. Cake.AppBear. Yeah, so that one is out of date. So I think what happened is these PRs got opened as a result of it running to the latest 0.38.5 when we did some of those updates before the 1.0 release. So they're essentially outdated now because they've been pulled in with the new version that target 1.0.0. So the add-ins can definitely get closed out, I think, by the look of it. So Cake.Coveralls is currently at 1.0.0. Yeah, so that one can get closed out. Cake.Twitter 11. That one can get closed out too. and then cake.getter is 12, which so, but I think by closing the issue and closing the PR, then if there are any new updates, then we'll get another round of pull requests coming in. So I'm going to say that this was preceded by one. Sorry, some comments there. Indeed, I would suggest just close them, the issue, and then if there's an update. Yes, exactly. I think you're right. You're absolutely correct. Hello, Augusto. How's it going? If you are interested, this is how to look. Okay, hold on. I'll come back to that in a sec. Let me just close off some of these. I'm going to say this was superseded by preceded. Yes, I always do that. This was superseded by another and we'll copy, close. Let's go through all of these and then we'll do a comment. This, close a comment, and then do this, close a comment. This comment. It's a little bit boring, but feel free to chat amongst yourselves. Or if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And then we'll go through to the issues. Say that this required as was for CI add-in for cake copy. Not on a milestone, and it doesn't have any labels, so we can just put that out. Close that one, and then go to this one. Close this one. Close. Go to the issue, which is this one. This one. Close. Up. Issue. I'm getting so many. Close with comment, and then this one. This one. This one. Okay. So if you're interested, this is how you can make a 3D model. I'm currently working on a remix of this file to support a Raspberry Pi 3. This is where it means starts to mean nothing to me. A SCAD file. Raspberry Pi 4B hyperpixel 4 case. So these are actually movements of the head of the printer. You're literally controlling it at that level. Chocolate. Maybe another time. I'm not going down that particular rabbit hole because that's a dangerous one. We'll not go down that one tonight. I'll maybe do that later. This is the model. Paint cut. Okay. And all this is stuff. So you're tinkering with this to make it work specifically for another Raspberry Pi. So you're taking the basis that someone's created and you're just tinkering with it. Like it. So back in pull requests here. So I did see another question from Maurice there. Question for the chat. Where would one store all your dad jokes? Hey Stevie, how's it going? Where would you store all of your dad joke? Is that a joke? Or is that I don't see how that would be a genuine question, to be honest. way in database. It's quite good actually. I like that one. I'll have to tell that one to. I'll have to tell that one to. So this one, these two, I was going to ask the chat about this one. So these two dependabot PRs are for updating the. So what are our thoughts on just doing this? I mean, should we pull these in, or should we just let it? Should we just pin to V2 and just let it do it? Nils is saying kill them. V2 is enough. So you would. So the recommendation here would be to go back to the YAML and change it to V2 and close out this PR. Is that what you were saying there? Because that kind of makes sense to me. That's a bug in dependabot currently. How is that? Help me out there. How is that a bug? Because that's a valid update though, right? Or are you saying that you can't tell it to ignore it? Okay, so I think Nils is going back on what you said. I would use the pin version. That makes sure that you get a specific version and won't get. Yes, that's valid. But in this one, I think Nils has got but ... more coming. So V2 is better in the sense that you would always get the latest version, but what Maurice is saying is that if we're not pinned, then we could get a surprise. Because I think it would pull in the latest V2 minor and patch, correct? So the potential is that it would pull in something that we didn't know about. Whereas at least this is knowingly bumping it. See, I'm erring to what Stevie's saying as well, to be honest. I think I'm going to do it. So I'm going to say, hey Alex, how's it going? Good to see you in the chat. Happy to have you here. Augusto, from my understanding, no, it requires the authors to delete the tag and create a new one under the same name. At least that's what. Oh, hold on. What did I miss? That was in response to Augusto. What did Augusto say? Deterministic bills for the win. I agree. Also correct. We're currently got a surprise. Yes, exactly that type of thing. So for those of you just joining, I mean, I don't have a plan as such for what I'm streaming tonight. I'm kind of just winging it. There's a few rough things I want to get done, but I am happy to go off and investigate things and look at things if there's anything that people want to dangle in my direction. I'm quite like going down rabbit holes and seeing what's new and all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to say confirm merge there because I'm just going to say that I want to do that. And then this is a build, and we'll assign it to the 3.0 milestone. This won't get pulled like that. And then that should, because of our setup now, I think, because of the setup now within our branch settings, that should now automatically update the other PR that was open because, yes, dependabot is rebasing that PR. Cool. V2 is always latest v2.x.x or somewhat equal to latest. Yes. What are you up to? So that was doing this other one, which is actions requirements. I just saw it. Yes, it's very, very pretty. So this is updating it to be specific. So this one did have v2, but this one is pinning specifically to v2.1.4. I thought Kim was saying that it was not, so it looked like they delete the tag and create it again on new. Oh, I see. Let me just do this here as well. And I can. So Maurice has just shared this as well. Bring this over. So this is the printed version of the STL file that we shared earlier, where got it all working, got it all printed. And that's where Raspberry Pi would go in there. These would obviously be the slots for guessing USB port, RJ45 port, power, etc. See, Maurice is a bad influence, really is. Really is. I love it. So here we can enable the auto merge button, so that will flow in. That will flow in, and then there was a PR from Nils that I wanted to look at. I think the failing build here, Nils, was simply due to Ubuntu, so we'll come back to that in a second. These PRs won't auto update because they are from a dependabot, so we'll maybe just do those manually while we're here. So if we go over here and do develop, you see me, Kim? I did switch there. Did a switch. It's slowly creeping in to the muscle memory. Slowly. 792 HPR checkout 79. Okay. Develop. And then F. See, it's slowly but surely creeping in. That hopefully will 792. Like I said, the whole tab completion element of it is still a little bit of a bugbear, but so if I'm switching between like a develop or a head or a develop or a master, then I use it. But if I'm going to one of these longer ones, then I'll do a git checkout -b and then tab. Hold on, I'm feeling I'm missing some conversation here. Kim, that is indeed what they do. So it isn't guaranteed that it will be on latest, only if the authors of the action do the same changes, delete the tag and create it again. Gotcha. So v2 might not be deleted, but definitely not pinned. Gotcha. See, for the longest time, Stevie, I was the same, but I'm slowly trying to get the new muscle memory in play for doing that. Just because. Oh, did it just? I think I just the other PR going in. So I might have to do that again. There was another one, wasn't there? There was another one came in at the same time as git switch. There was another command that came in, but I can't remember what that one was. And checking out tag, that won't work. Oh, interesting. So you still have to. It's going to bug me that I can't remember what that one was now. There was another command that came in around the same time. Is it restore? Oh, blog post about it. Yeah, maybe it was. Yeah, I think you're right. Don't actually know what it does. Oh no, that was for because of the overloaded nature of checkout. You could use git checkout to restore a file back to the previous version. They added an explicit restore command that would do the same thing. That one I don't use so much. But yeah, you're spot on. It was exactly that one. Where did we get to? Did it do the did it merge that one? I thought I enabled the auto merge on that one, but it didn't. Let's take this dependence, stick that on. Well, so git restore can be used to discard stage changes. Yes. So where I would do that, where I would have done that before if I wasn't in git extensions or something like that, if you just git check out the file again, it restores the version. It's the best thing and the worst thing about git is that there's multiple ways of doing the exact same thing. So that was this one, but it's saying out of date, so I'm going to go back and do that one again. So git check out. See. So this one is okay. I'm going to do that. That one I still think is okay. I don't think you can. Ooh, can you do it with Switch? Does that work? Switch? Oh, it works on Switch as well. Okay, even better. So git switch, that one, git fetch upstream. Upstream develop, git origin. Git dash, git replace develop, git push. Oh, there's more. Kim is right and I am wrong. This is from Nils. V at v1 refers to tag v1, which should point to the latest 1.x.x. Should being the operative word, I'm guessing. So this one, we have said that bumping to there. So I'm okay with that going in. Commit. And then there's an issue for this one. There. And say that this is improvement because that is related to hello, Mr. Adil. How are you tonight? This afternoon? This morning? What time zone are you in? You could also check out remote branches. For instance, instead of git checkout origin some branch -v some branch, you could do git switch -c some branch. Right. Yes, you are correct. Or the C in this case is create, I think. Yes, you're right. He's afternoon. You're absolutely right, Maurice. Crazy Canadians. So we're there with this one as well. So I'm going to go ahead and merge this one. Oh, Arthur's here as well tonight. Hello. Good to have you here. Quite a few people in the house tonight. Thank you all for coming along. So we go back and do a git switch again, and then we do a git branch -d. update one. First failing branches we have branch minus that one. That one, I got an error there for some reason. Letting me. I do want to delete it. I really do want to delete. Let me be. -d. Upgrade. Beautiful. Feature 198. I don't know what feature 198 is. Oh, we're gonna have to look at that one. Develop. Origin. 7. That's a big number. Double digits. Look at that. Git GHPR list. See where we got to. So let's do the report generator one. So GHPR checkout 785. Git rebase on develop. Git push. Everyone came to watch the I don't know if that's true, Gustav. I really don't. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what it means, to be honest. There's I think there might be something coming in the post with some swag in it, but don't know that for certain yet. I'm relatively sure that there's something coming, but we haven't. No, we don't have a new nickname idea. We don't at all. We really don't. Not sure what to say anymore. So, what was this one? This one was bump of the version, a little bump. So let's go ahead and pull that in. If we're gonna need fishy not equal to fishy, approve. Fishy is the name given to my home village, colloquially known as Fishy. Its actual name is called Fitarangus, but it was locally known as Fishy. All of the small villages where I grew up, they all had nicknames for them. Ours was Fishy. Newport Sligo was called Kiak. Stewartfield was called Cricky. Fraser was called the Broch. They've all got little names for their little village. Achnagat was called the Gat. Where else? Lots and lots of different little. But Fishy, it's got an IE at the end. Small point. If you're getting it made into a sticker, then it must say Fishy. What was I doing? Alright, we're going to look at Nils's PR next, which was switch from using a new spec to using a CS proj file. So if we go in here and do git switch dash again, git fetch upstream, get lots of rebasing tonight, rebase upstream develop, get branch minus d date origin. We put 13 at the end, just because. Hold on. Code Monkey 256. Are you a kicker? No. Are you? That is kind of crazy. I don't think I knew that. Nothing to apologize for. Nothing to apologize for at all. But I'm impressed that there's a cacker on my screen. To be honest, I really am. I think you're right in saying that. It's out beside Bankery, but it's relatively close. Yes. Did he? I must have missed that if he did. I do apologize. I'm getting sidetracked. But that's good. I do like getting sidetracked. I do. What was it? Oh, I was looking at Nils's PR. So PR list. HPR. Check out 813. Rebase on develop. Oh, there's some merge. Now we're into the woods. Well, we want to delete it, so because the new spec's gone, so I'm happy to nuke that. Oh, I see. Oh. No, why did? What's? You knew about merge tools, Stevie, right? If not, I. So depending on what your Git configuration is set up like, you can define in your Git config file. You can define a merge tool and a diff tool. So I've got mine set up to use kdiff and or winmerge, depending on which one I'm doing. So for this one, merge is using kdiff under the hood. So it will take the two files that are different, it will pass them into the diff tool that is kdiff, and then it will either attempt to do an automatic merge at the command line, or it will open up kdiff with the two files to then do a three-way merge. So in this scenario, it's not quite getting to the three-way diff because the files have either been moved or modified or created on the file system. So yeah, that's all it's doing. It's just if I'm doing an interactive rebase or a rebase from the command line, I'll just spin up git merge tool, and it's just doing the work that you would ultimately be doing within Visual Studio Code. There's certain things that kdiff does, or more specifically, there are things that kdiff does now that I better understand than some other tools, just because of the way that its diffing engine works and the way that its visualizations work. So I'm kind of stuck now using kdiff, even though there are potentially better tools out there. I kind of know how kdiff works, so I stick to that one. So with this particular one, I'm not too familiar with the changes that actually got made. So is it just that all the files got moved? Solution file, that was new. The CS proj file was new. Everything else got moved to went from content. Oh, I see. Okay. Inserted it all into a source folder and then added in the 2 or 3 other files. Yeah, can we do that? Because I don't really want to fight with this. Because there's all sorts of, yeah, let's abort. Abort. Git rebase. Abort. Abort. So I'm going to go back to, so what academy did you go to, CodeMonkey? I'm curious now. Did you go to Mintlaw? And if so, what year were you in? You see, what year were you in? 85. I'm gonna have to do some maths now. Hold on. When was I at school? Hold on. I graduated from university in 2005. That was 6 years. Left in 99. So that would have. Oh, so you were a good bit ahead of me then. So I was at Mintlaw from 93 to 99. So you were left before I got there. Yeah, that's bizarre. Fascinating. You're not that old. You're what? 46? 45, 46? Close. Close. So where are you at now? If you don't mind me asking. Where are you living? Are you still in Scotland? Or are you elsewhere now? Nils, be mindful that the version.cake file should be auto-generated and not actually checked in a repository. Yeah, so interesting. So I'm just north. I'm up in Ellen. Used to live in Aberdeen, and then we moved out of town. Got a bit more fur. So I feel bad now. So, what's your actual name? I've probably said hello to you, and I do apologise. I'm trying to picture you. GitHub profile didn't give much. Oh, okay. Your GitHub profile doesn't give much away in terms of who you are. I'm assuming that the CodeMonkey 256 is still the same CodeMonkey 256. Sorry. Nils, yeah. It is due to the path being hard coded in the gitignore file. Okay. Okay. So Nils is going to recreate that PR. So I'm going to go ahead and close this PR out. As agreed on stream, this PR is going to get closed in favor of a due to the nature changes. Hard. Oh, I've done it now. I assumed he was just going to create a new one, but let me know, Nils, if you want me to open that up again, or feel free to. If you're in a new branch, just let me know. Other PRs that were still open were do not merge, do not merge, do not merge, and that was a draft one. Okay. So we're getting to a point where, well, I've closed it out now, so let's come back. We'll come back once you've raised that as a new PR, and we can look. Okay, so what's left then? What's actually in the 1.0.0 milestone? There's one left open, which is upgrade Cake version supported criteria to follow major versions. Yes. Currently, the criteria for checking if the Cake version being used by the user is restricted to check if both major and minor versions of the matching the one we build with Cake.Recipe. This was done due to Cake being a pre 1.0 state and could include breaking changes in release. Now that Cake has reached 0.0.0, this criteria should be factored in the major version of Cake itself instead of the minor check. Okay. I think that makes sense in my head. And here we're saying is supported Cake version. 2-part supported is version. Our current is the current version. There is that's what we find. This one we pass in the build metadata Cake version and the build version Cake version. Oh, so what you're suggesting really is just are we just talking about taking yeah, so I was just coming back to here to comprehend that exact same thing. So this would be a 1-part supported rather than the 2-part supported. So whose version is that? Is that the question? But who is that? The system.out version? Okay. Parsing the supported version and then toString field count. So are we literally saying 1 and 1? This is the kind of change that we're talking about here. Sort of guessing there. I think I prefer using the version class to be because or substring up to the first dot. I think in parsing it would be things converts the value to the current version object to its equivalent string representation. Specified count indicates the number of components to return. 1 being the major, yeah. So that was what that exact same thing Augusto was just going through my head. So for one of these is never going to have that. So the supported version is only ever going to be a 3-part semantic version number because we defined what the supported version number is. The current Cake version would be if someone is knowingly building with beta version. Oh, I see what Kim's saying as well. So we stamp the assembly informational version with the semantic version, but we respect the assembly file version's 4-part version number. So it wouldn't have a hyphen or a pre-release number in it. So assuming that we get that from the, where do we calculate? Build version's cake version is coming from build version, cake version. Oh, that's coming from get. I think is where we find that cake version coming from the assemblies get version. Yeah, I think that's fine because we're not getting the informational attribute out. Yep, you go to the same place. Yes, go to the same place right at the same time. So I think we're good there. I think we're good. So that shouldn't cause any problems. I still feel parsing it is probably, yeah, let it do the hard work. I've got no issue with that. So I'm good with that. So if we were to do that against this one, then 804. Oh, we'll change that as well. I was away to type GH, but I've decided that we're not doing that anymore. That we're going to use the hash sign or the pound sign for consistency between GitHub and GitLab. So you see me writing GH hyphen, feel free to shout. And in the same way that Kim reminds me about git checkout -b, feel free to shout that we're now not using GH anymore. And the version used by Cake.Recipe was built is or when the is using the same property. So that's on recipe.cake 45. Same thing. With token. Yes. So we're fine there. Good. So you plan to create a GitLab mirror repository. So I don't know. So this came about. So recently, we Chocolatey, pointing to the hat, we Chocolatey have taken some GitHub repositories and moved them basically. So all of the good history between all the commit messages, essentially that's lost because although we've imported the project into GitLab, and it's brought across all the issues and all the numbers are exactly the same, all the commit messages are referencing GH hyphen blah. So all of those links don't work. But if we had used the pound sign or the hash sign, then they would have all continued to work. So going forward, we've kind of said, rather than GH hyphen, we'll use the hash symbol or the pound sign for all our commit messages going forward, so that if we're ever in a situation where we're pulling maybe a private repository to public or public to private and vice versa, then it'll all flow across. So that's the reasoning behind it. So 804 was to modify support version. There first, all that the sure portion version. Two rather than 2 is the major minor rather than major. Okay, so I'm good with that. So I think that comes from I always refer to it as the hash symbol. That's how I refer to it. But folks on the other side of the pond, I think they refer to it as the pound sign, and that's why I kind of do them both. I think that's where it comes from. I could be wrong. If there's anybody, Adil, are you still on? Stevie, do you call it the hash symbol or the pound sign? I think you guys call it the pound sign. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, I didn't just do that, did I? What the map? Typing anyway. Where's my PowerShell going? I'm on the wrong branch. CD into C GitHub organization. Cake. Develop. Okay. Love it. Here, go to Git. Okay, Git push upstream. So I think that. I'm not saying we're ready to ship it because we're not, but all of the items that are currently attributed to the 1. Not the 1.0, the 3.0.0 milestone of Cake.Recipe have been done. However, I haven't seen Pascal on the old chat tonight yet, but we would still need to update to Cake.Issues.Recipe, which isn't. I don't believe it's ready for 1.0.0 yet. So with that done, let's have a wee look at my list of things that we were going to look at on stream. There's some chocolatey gooey stuff that I could have a bash at, because there's stuff in there I wanted to play with, but I don't think that was on my list. GitReleaseManager and Magic Chunks were the next two on the list, but part of me kind of wants to do chocolatey gooey stuff, so I don't know. 56k modems, eh? Those were indeed the days. Never had dial-up. Just a treat there. I had dial-up. I remember having dial-up. I remember having to ask permission to use the internet because it would stop incoming phone calls to the house. It was strange old times. What we're going to do next? Are we doing GitReleaseManager or are we doing Chocolate GUI? Hands up. What's pickerwheel.com? You have the most random links sometimes. Did you just Google that, or do you happen to have pickerwheel.com for other things? I was never a BBS person. I missed out on that one. So did the ISDN when I was young. At least the one that my mom acquired after I moved. So Arthur's voting for GitReleaseManager. Oh, Nils is just put up a PR. We should do that one first. We should maybe go and have a look at GitReleaseManager and see what the current state is. And Arthur's put a vote in. Why did that fail to build? Interesting. Okay, child item, Cake.Recipe content, exclude version, can't find path. Oh, that's in the build.ps1, if I recall correctly. So that path is obviously changed. It's not so much. It's not what you did. There's a custom. Step in the build.ps1, if I recall correctly, where we are creating that version.cake file because we build Cake.Recipe with Cake.Recipe. So in order to generate the includes file, we need to exclude that version.cake. So this path would need to be updated, I'm assuming, to be source Cake.Recipe content. So if you could update that to there, that would be good. And it looks like there's the same in the YAML file. That path would need to be updated and in the release YAML. So Kim is also saying, if possible, we should probably get a new pre-release of GitReleaseManager. So I haven't. I just opened it when I saw Nils's comment. I'm happy to spin it, but pickerwheel.com. Accept all. Input here. So GRM chocolate. I can't spell it. That's a bad sign. Chocolate gooey. But oh, it says chocolate gooey. Oh, I'm not sure if we can though. We have 2 votes for GRM, so we should probably go and have a look at that. Updating that requires an extra step though. Changed. We'd also need to run git run index chmod for creating the. So let's come back to Nils's PR once that's updated. So let's refresh our memories about GitReleaseManager. So where did we get to? GitRelease. It's been so long, can't even get. Oh, it's mine. I'm missing it. Get there in the end. So there's some dependabot stuff we need to pull in. We need to go through. Yeah. So what have we done so far that you're requesting? It's been so long since I've looked at this. So you're requesting a pre-release. So what have we? Oh yeah, we probably should. We almost certainly should. Oh yeah, the last one we did was the removing of the file header. Migrate fully to Cake dot. That. Lots of bumps. Oh, some of these would have to come out. Oh yeah, did that get? So is that's in now, isn't it? The support for the templates. That was yes, that was there. I remember this now. Yes. Yes, we definitely should get this out. So what else is still on the list? this is something that the other Arthur, there was a couple of issues that the other Arthur was looking at adding in. I don't think they made it in though. So before we be able to do anything, we need to update the NuGet API key, the live management of GitHub. That's probably just not going to happen. Please. Right, let's just take that out. That's going to go into. I would love to do that, but oh, I thought I could create. Files. I've started creating things that we want to do but aren't going to get to do. That's essentially what I'm thinking. Yeah. So the future one's kind of a catch-all for stuff that we want to do, but we're just not going to get to this round. I still need to go back to the GitLab library that we're using, or that I was starting to use, to see the update. It doesn't have the API for what we needed to do, so bump that to future. What else is in here that we could change the order? And the export command to export the loads. Document the public API for library. Was that going to be done with YAM? Core library should be documented. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so in order to have that, yeah, okay. Find a way to handle scenarios where applications should exit with error but not stack trace. I remember discussing that. That needs to be done. Add GitHub Actions built. Have we not done that? Haven't. Need to do that. I personally use both a future and a vNext milestone. The latter is only used if I don't already have a made minor version one. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I think there might be a use case soon for Get13 to use GRM and GitLab. I guess it gets built faster after that. So that's where that issue came from, to be honest. The process for generating release notes for some of our tooling at the minute is there's a manual effort behind it. So the requirement for GitReleaseManager to support GitLab kind of came from the work related stuff. Absolutely. The reason that I haven't really done much with it yet is because there are other rules in play that GitReleaseManager doesn't currently support that I need to figure out how best to incorporate those requirements into the current GRM codebase. One of those is something that's been long sought after, which is support for multiple labels to be able to allow grouping to happen, and also an element of priority. So you can assign additional labels that indicate severity. So high priority issue would be ordered before the other ones. So you have multiple labels that if they've got, say, certain criteria on them, then they're ignored in terms of generating the content of the release notes, but they allow control over where they end up in the list. So there's a few other requirements in and around the release notes generation for work that I haven't ironed out yet, but they fall into what we want to be able to do within GRM. Okay, that's a fair point. So let's put this one onto future as well then, shall we? That one's dropped out of there. GitHub Actions build, we should absolutely do that. I'm going to say that this one can come out as well. We're not going to do that just now, I don't think. So let's take this one out. I would like to do it, but let's bump that. Don't throw immediately if I've stuffed something That's an interesting one. That one I think we should handle. Cannot create empty releases without milestone or input file. Forget what that is. Need to look into it. Prove the unit test to cover all features. Sure. Add a flag for defining if pre-releases should be exported or not. Sensible. What's that? See, that's to be expected though, that one, to be fair. This is, that's the cache for, that was the cache for AppVer. This is the cache, this one maybe not, arguably this could be done elsewhere, but the cache updating makes sense. That's the related release notes build, fine, okay with that. Git ignore makes sense. That file got deleted. This is a new solution file to hold the new csproj file. csproj file contains, is packable. It will have a, it will include everything in the content folder here. Packable true. Oh, he snuck in Cake.Contrib.guidelines. Look at that, makes sense. I'm assuming all of this was brought over from the new spec, so quick sanity check. Extended to include everybody or the Kit contributor, but that's fine. Copyright, blah, MIT, repository, Git, Git, package tags, and Cake.Recipe, makes sense. Augusto's PR in line. Package release version. Okay. Okay. These are all just moved. Lots of really that. Wow. Project's evolved quite a bit from when it started, to be fair. Grown quite a bit. Antivex, Travis, Twitter, I am. Build.ps1, that's including the custom there. Same into build.sh. And then, why did this change? In fact, either chocolate and NuGet allows environment variables configured. You have a specific folder structure in your new spec file located. Path.cake. Oh, I see. Okay. So it's just a pointer to that file. And then in the parameters.cake, it's a pointer to there. NuGet.cake. Closing these off. Or was that? No, that's it. That one. Okay. Should run inspect code. All of those turned off. Should run .NET Core Pack. Fine. That one, where it's writing it to, and then running that. Looks good to me. There should also be a package license URL for fallback purposes. Not sure. While I would recommend to have one, it isn't really necessary as the fallback is generally for BS217. I mean, if if we have a check for the fallback for the icon URL? Because arguably that's for just for older systems as well that don't know about the embedded icon. So you could look at it both ways. I mean, I'm happy to pull this in, and then if you do put out a new version of the guidelines, we could, I guess, test it on this project, update it, and then validate that the package license URL flows in. True, but embedded icon was added later than the support for license expression. Again, if I remember correctly, embedded icon later. I mean, that's certainly a possibility. But yeah, and I think I'm happy to do this as a starter for 10. I'm going to pull this in. Boom. 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 Mills. I'm going to say that this is build related. It changes anything from a deliverables point of view. Just makes it slightly easier to maintain. Good. We'll even go away. License expression was added during the lifespan of VS 2017, but embedding icons was added sometime during the lifetime of 2000. Yeah, but what I was getting at there though was from a gallery point of view as well, not just within Visual Studio. So if a package had an embedded icon, then not all galleries would know what to do with that or how to extract that icon. But if the icon URL was also included, you could use that. So it wasn't just for Visual Studio that I was thinking. Yes, add a flag for defining pre-release support or not, automatically crediting the author contributor of the PR in your notes. I mean, this would be a nice thing to have, but what was his suggestion here? Oh, it goes back to 2015. Let's discuss a potential feature addition to GitReleaseManager, contributed by super awesome contributor. I can't remember where we got to with that one, but it's been bumped a couple of times. So this might flow into the templating side of things. Yeah, I don't know what versions either, Kim. I'm going to bump this one as well. Say that we're not going to. It would be. I would love to have this, but for now, say let's concentrate on. So we're down to 10 open. Let's start the process of looking at these PRs. Let's go at the bottom. Let's just start going through them. Let's get to a point where we could ship something, and then let's see what we get to. So have I got the settings set up on this same way? So we have those are enabled. Good. The branch protection are set up. This will be for AppVeyor at the minute. Yep. Who did that one? Sorry here. Regarding 89, not just template, it would require changes in PRM core to gather the commits and PRs that resolved any issues that was closed without hassle. I mean, I have some of that code in a separate project. So in a separate project, we have, for generating the blog posts for Cake, we run a little utility tool that finds all the contributors. It doesn't marry them up though, that's the only thing. It generates a list of contributors between the two tags. But there's some complexities there because finding the GitHub username isn't always a guarantee because of the way the commits are signed. If they're not tallied up, if the email address in the commit doesn't match to a username, then it can't link it up properly. So there's some complexity there. I mean, so I think it is doable, but yeah, as it currently stands, no. And how you would marry them up to the PR or the issue that's associated, that becomes more complicated as well. But I'm going to say that looks good. Let's start the process. Let's just start going through these. Otherwise, we'll never get anywhere. This branch is out of date. And then I'm going to say enable auto merge. Pick up on it. Right, there we go. Okay, so we're off to the races. Next one. YAML.net. Kim saying, I read the issue wrong. Seems it is talked about purely to use the PR contributors to close the issue, not the commits. That should be doable, I think. Not sure if the GitHub API have the right. Something to look into, maybe. This. Ready? I think you're right, Kim. In terms of if we can get to a point where we can ship a beta release of this, I think it would be good to get the templating functionality out because that is a good addition. So I would be Augusto's asking, one of the checks when releasing Cake is to ensure issues have a single tag. You You're saying tag, do you mean label? I think you mean label. Is this because of GRM? If yes, should we add a GRM feature to request multiple? So there is that. So I think you are talking about labels. So yes, essentially at the minute, GitReleaseManager has a hard requirement that an issue have only one label, and it's that requirement is for the grouping of the issues within the release notes. So all the features together, all the bugs together, all the documentation issues together. Where it comes into play for me is if you're trying to say that an issue that's been resolved is both a feature and a bug, then what do you actually? This is what I've never really understood about this requirement is where do you want that list item to appear? Should it appear in both the feature section and the bug section? Um, so I've never really come to a conclusion in my own head of exactly what that means to have multiple labels associated with a an issue or a pull request. So there is a PR. There's been a PR open for a long time to add that support, but again, it comes down to I don't know what folks want. So, but why? So why would you have that? Because if it's a breaking change, it's in the breaking change section. So why would it be repeated in the feature section? Genuine question. I mean, why would you want that? Because just for why? I mean, the other in this same area is like I say, from a work perspective, there's the potential for adding a label that is for helping with the ordering. So there would be another label here that was breaking change, high priority, or bug, medium priority. So the high, medium, low priorities would then inform the order of the issues as they appear within the release notes. The other one that I've heard talking about is for grouping of, for some larger projects, you would have a components label. So it's like area Windows service, area website. So within the same release notes, you could group based on the area labels and then have features, bugs, etc. within the component section of the release notes. We don't have support for that either yet. So Guso would reply to my question, because feature is the highlight of the release notes. The fact that some features are breaking is a characteristic. Okay, I can get behind that. In my opinion, there could be a new configuration list that specifies that if something matches certain labels, i.e. breaking changes and features, use the specified section, i.e. use the section breaking changes for instance, i.e. breaking feature is an attribute of a feature improvement. Yes, no. Breaking feature is an attribute of a feature. Oh, I see what you're saying. I think I see what you're saying. So it's at the minute it's a hard requirement, but if we can come up with a set of examples of these are the issues that these are a set of issues and how they're labeled, and if we can come to an agreement about what we would expect the outcome to be from the release notes, then I think we could put the changes in play to add that functionality, because it is something that folks have asked for a while. To be honest, it's something that's been at the back of my head as to how we actually do it, but nothing's ever been done about it. So, like I say, there is an open PR, but I don't think it addresses all of the edge cases, and that's why I've never addressed it, which is bad. I should at least have replied to it, but I haven't got there yet. So what else? Let's go through some of these other PRs so that we can at least, if we can get all of these updated, we can get into a point where we can look to ship something. Date, fine. Files change. Fine. Sure. Clipboard. This. I'm really starting to quite like the firm auto merge button. Here, the Roslinator analyzers. Gotta love that name. Sure. How about it? Paste. Do it. Come in tomorrow morning and all of this should be merged and updated. Roslinator, that's the text copy. Oh, I haven't. Sure. Do it. Do it. Text copy. Text copy for something that, you know, that one. Roslinator analyzer. That's a build. Yeah. This one. Build the this. YAML.net is something as we can YAML. I'm going to come back to what Kim said there because I feel him. Oh. This is build and I mean, my workflow is I tend to go to the bottom and start up the top, but I think what Kim is suggesting is that you don't do that. But now what was that now? Auto merge was automatically disabled. Head branch was pushed by a user without write access. That feels wrong. I thought dependabot should be allowed to. Am I missing a setting for the auto merge? Because I'm going to have to manually approve that. And I'm guessing by Kim's reaction that he's not familiar with that either. I wonder if this is part of the new security. There were some changes because there was all of our we all got logged out of GitHub because something happened last week. I wonder if something's changed there. That's interesting. But sorry, the question that you asked before that is, by the way, you can filter the pull requests only by those that are ready, right? Just wanted to mention that in case. So what you're referring to there is if we go up to here and we say status success, then only one. Is that because, oh, they must all be rebasing away? Probably related to the security measure they took mentioned in the email. Yeah, I'm wondering if it's all related to that. Because that's news to me. I hadn't seen that before tonight. That was I thought it was a glitch. There was a PR a few minutes back where it didn't auto merge. Well, I just thought it was a glitch in the matrix, but I wonder if it was actually saying the same thing. So that's an interesting one. I might take that text so that put it in a screenshot. I ask some folks about that. I think what's happening now, obviously, is that there's a bunch of stuff. So this isn't going to come in and magically be working tomorrow morning. There's manual effort to come back and click the go button, which is a shame. So obviously, you need to work. I would need to work through all of these PRs. So what Kim's saying there is that that's essentially what I was just inferring. This makes the auto merge useless to me, as it generally only useful for me on dependabot PRs. I don't want to do that on other people's PRs, as they can have changed something during the time I approved and it gets merged. So yeah, but then there's an element of trust there with dependabot PRs, and I guess that's probably why they turned it off, because you're trusting that won't get changed from when you last reviewed it. There's a good chance that it won't, but I mean, what happens if it did? What if the dependabot was compromised and it then went and changed the PR to print out all of the environment variables, and then that gets merged automatically, and then the next build on GitHub has all of your environment variables listed out. There's all sorts of things that could happen, I guess. Yeah, it's a difficult one. Difficult one. But yeah, I mean, I guess I would just need to work through these and get them merged then. While we're waiting on some of those, let's go back through the milestone. See what else was still in here. Oh, because I've just added those in. Why they've now appeared. Well, let's do that. Get all these labeled up. I've done that. There's already the files changed tab, which quite often now is something was changed since the last time you looked at it. This should probably have affected it all. Well, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So yeah, so what Kim's referring to there is normally when I review a PR, I'll click this button and I'll click this button. So if this in a subsequent commit, if I come back and something's changed in here since I last clicked the viewed button, then it flags it and saying since you last viewed it. So if you've enabled auto merge and that comes up, then yes, I agree. That makes sense. That makes absolute sense. So that then you're able to trust then that what you viewed is what actually been included. Yeah, that makes absolute sense. I'm gonna go through this process so that I can say at least I've reviewed them, and then we can see what it takes. So this is approval test. So that's a build dependence. Out here, that map. But most of our repos have the review required set. Auto merge would not merge non-review code then. Most of our repos have the review required. Yes, auto merge would not merge non-review code. So are those two things? So work through me here. So if I click viewed and I've clicked viewed and I've clicked approve, right? And then I've said enable auto merge. So what we've seen is that dependabot isn't able to do, or a dependabot PR is not able to be auto merged. But what Kim's suggesting is that it would be good if it could, but only if something that had been reviewed wasn't also changed. So are you saying that as part of the PR, if the file's changed since I last approved it, is that PR no longer approved? I'm not sure if that's true. If I've given my approval and you send in some changes, I don't think it dismisses the approval, does it? Oh, so there's another setting. But unless you have it set to automatically dismiss the review on changes, it can still be considered reviewed. Right, yes. So where's that setting? Which one's that in? Is that in here? Dismiss? No. You need to configure automatic dismiss in protected branches. So if I go into branches, look in here. I remember seeing this. Dismiss stale pull request approvals when new commits are pushed. So I would want to tick that. What we're saying. Yes. Got you. Oh, but I see. So I see. So it would be that, but with the exclusion of the rebase. So only if the file's changed, not the commit that's changed. I see. Interesting. It's definitely worth asking the question. So I might be able to point that question to some folks. So if I hear anything back regarding this, I can I'll let you know. So this is Scriban. So this is what does all the templating. This is it will also dismiss when the commit changes, i.e. when a normal rebase is done. Yes. So it's almost as you almost kind of want two checkboxes there. One which is if it's a rebase, dismiss it. If it's a rebase and nothing's changed, then maybe don't dismiss it. So there's maybe there's a little bit of granularity there. Disposable analyzer. Sure. Build requirement. I think this is probably going to take us to the end of the evening, to be honest. But I think it's safe to say that we should, I'm committing to spending a little bit of time on GitReleaseManager on streams going forward, so that we can get, if nothing else, get a pre-release out, and if we can get a new version shipped that will include the templating support that Kim added in a while back now. It's been a while that code's been in there. Don't think it's what we let's do. This is OctoKit, so that's an improvement. Something. Coverlet MS build, a major release. But makes a slight change to the coverlet JSON format. Add support for assemblies with C extension. Adds considerable coverage tracking performance. Coverlet, that's a build. This and do milestone. Here. And then I think as once all of these PRs go in, one of the next things we should do is get fully updated for Cake.Recipe and GitHub action workflows, so it's all kind of in sync with norm. Sure. Well, sync anyway, so that's fine. Oh, tired. Right. Yeah, so the JSON format changes. Yeah, that would be the upstream. So if we were pushing something to somewhere, then it would have a breaking change. Yes. That's one. Do all of those. A refresh here. Change to something. Beautiful. Okay. Approved, approved, approved. Milestones. Did I assign them all? Did. Okay. Oh, it was the auto merge. I didn't think on all of them. I don't think it's. Let's enable the auto merge. Auto merge enabled. go over here, look at recipe.cake, then are on, and not completely out of date, but there is a newer version we need to update to. Some additional changes. I think I saw, I see an open issue for that. This, yeah, this one I think I would want to get in at some point. This has happened to me before, where there's one issue, or there's something preventing the generation of the release notes. You fix it, and then you immediately get another one. It would be nice if we could just create a collection of all of those issues and then report them all in the output, rather than just doing one at a time. I think that makes a lot of sense. That one, that's Geert's issue that's been ongoing for a while. I don't think we're not a Geert. I like that. I think this one's doable. Proving unit test to cover all features. That's B. Cannot create empty without milestone. Is that not a knowing change that we made? As of today, it seems it's only possible to create a new release if either milestone or input file is specified. It could be good if it was possible to create an empty release with neither of these. Thanks for raising the issue. I'm just going through the process of triaging some release. Can you help me understand the see one use case? When initially creating a library application, I typically don't create issue for it, but I have to. So being able to run GRM without the need for the existing issue. What would GRM bring to the table? It wouldn't be provided by release through the UI, or is this the ability to automate the okay? In general, though, I do believe that you show an error empty releases, but maybe adding a -- empty switch or something which skips the entire. Okay, yes. It'd also be beneficial from working build scripts to see if it's all working as it should. Okay. I like the -- empty. Yeah. It happened because we were throwing an exception, I believe. Maybe we should return an array of messages. Yes, something like that. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Okay. So during the week this week, I'm going to get all of these PRs merged in, he says. Maybe he's going to get all of these PRs merged in. I'll go through the open milestone to make sure that we haven't got any duplicate issues, to get to a point where we can decide what we're going to do on next week's stream, to get to a point where we are in a shippable state. How does that sound? Does that sound like a plan? And then, if we get all of that done, then I can start playing with Chocolatey Gooey, because there's a couple of things that I want to add into Chocolatey Gooey. I don't know if Stevie's still on the call, or on the stream rather. Stevie's started working on, or at least thinking about, a new edition for Chocolatey Gooey. I think it's quite exciting. Jan has, if you haven't seen it, Jan's got a PR up where he is discussing how the new install advanced window is going to work and the look and feel for that. So yeah, there's some exciting stuff coming to Chocolatey Gooey. There's currently a bug. So I shipped 0.18.0 of Chocolatey GUI last week, along with the 0.20 of the Chocolatey GUI license extension. And there's some bugs in there. It's around what we were speaking about on Slack, Kim, with regard to LikeDB and its usage in the administrator context. Broken a bunch of stuff. There's 3 open issues that are currently going into a bug fix release that I need to figure that out. Oh yeah, probably, absolutely. I'll probably be up the entire night. Oh, hold on. I'll probably be up the entire night, so I'll try to look in GRM now and then merge. That would be great. I mean, if you are up and about, then feel free. I'm getting ready. I'm winding down now, so that's me done. The permission issue, yeah. So there's kind of an edge case that if you as an administrator install Chocolatey GUI but never run it, and then go and log in as a non-administrator user, then Chocolatey GUI completely fails because the global database never gets created. So there's an issue there. I say it's an edge case, but it's kind of not. It's a valid workflow for the installation that then stops completely a non-administrator user using Chocolatey GUI. So I've figured that one out. Related to that, though, we pulled in the newest version of LikeDB, and it changes how it deals with transactions against the database file. So the way that we're running it results in the transactions file being left beside the data.db file, and it never gets reconciled into the database. So I'm currently figuring out the best way of handling that in the code base to make sure that the changes always get added into the database. Because yeah, that's come up in support tickets that folks are using. So it's an interesting one. Anywho's, that's me done for the night, I think. So for tonight, as a quick recap, we reviewed a bunch of PRs or fixed a bunch of setup and PRs in Cake.Recipe. We pulled in a PR from Nils for switching to using the CSProj format rather than the NewSpec format. I feel we did something else over there as well, but I've forgotten what it was. But we did stuff in Cake.Recipe anyway, and then we had a conversation about what we want to look at next in GitReleaseManager 1. So we're trying to get GitReleaseManager to a point where it is shippable as a beta release. We started triaging some of the issues that are currently on the next milestone and move them out because they're not going to get done in this release. And we're committing to doing GitReleaseManager maybe for a couple of streams, getting to a point where we can ship some. So that's me for tonight, I think. Sounds similar, Kim saying, sounds similar to what I got when I used network share with LikeDB by mistake. Transaction never got written to the DB in either case, and everything failed. Same thing would have happened in the case of SQLite, though. So this particular one is the way that we add, I think it was me. It was maybe the original. So with the IOC container that we use, we new up the instance of the LikeDB database and we put it into the IOC container. But looking at all the code samples for the new version of LikeDB, it's always done in a using statement, or it is dispose is explicitly called when the operations are completed. We don't do that. We just kind of call the methods on the database to read from it, add to the file storage, and then we kind of just let it go out of scope. We don't explicitly call dispose on it. So the workaround or to get around the transactions not being committed properly, we either need to not add the light database into the IOC container and new it up only when needed so that it goes out of scope explicitly, or we need to call dispose on it when the operations are finished. So that's kind of, so the workaround that I've gone with just to test it out is to call dispose at the end of the operate. So when the WPF application is closing, I've called dispose on the database instance, and that seems to fix the issue. I don't like it, but it does seem to fix the issue. So what I think is we need some refactoring in there to change how that's done. My only concern there, though, is for something like the icons, that would mean potentially doing lots of database open and close operations to save and then retrieve the icons for the packages. So I'm hesitant to do that from a performance point of view. I don't know how much of a performance overhead it would add, but I'm hesitant to do that. So yeah, I don't know. Don't know what to do for the best at the minute, to be honest. Because there would be potentially be lots of opening and closing to get that information out. Don't know. Haven't decided yet. Thou shalt never store a blob in a DB. But I mean, there's that part. That's maybe a good mantra. But at the minute, that's where the icon files are going. So they are being stored in that DB file. Because it's a NoSQL database at heart. It's not a relational database. So it is just doing blobs. Could force the usage of transactions, and these need to be committed at the end. Possibly. But anyway, I mean, like I say, the workaround at the minute is just explicitly calling dispose when the operation is finished. So at the minute, it's the application exiting method. I just stick in it. I just resolve the database from the container and call dispose on it, and that seems to be working. And I do the same thing on Chocolate GUI CLI, and it also seems to work. I think you're right when you say that. So when we say large files, I mean it's an icon. It's not gigabytes. It's not gigabytes of data that's going in. It's an icon file. So it's not. We're not talking about a lot of stuff. But anyway, that's where we are with Chocolate GUI, and I need to come to a decision about how to do that. I'm hesitant to do too much refactoring because that then flows into the Chocolate GUI license extension as well. But every icon has a different size. Okay, I see what you're saying. I see where you're getting at. I wouldn't know how to talk to them. Anyway, that's me. That's me done for the evening. So, if you are looking at these PRs, Kim, that would be great. But no pressure if you don't. I'll pick them up during the week. However, the use of LightDB is a bit different. Is that it isn't a TrueDB, so I don't think we have the same problem. Yeah, what Kim said. Anyway, I'm done. Have a good night, and I will talk to you all on the Tinternets. And yeah, talk to you later. Bye bye.